Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you a thing or two about doors, specifically those commonly found in the Souls-like genre of games, including the iconic does not open from this side kind of door, as well as doors that can only be opened with the right key, or doors that need a special lever or button somewhere else to be opened. Before we begin, there's a couple of things I have already set up. If you've seen any of my previous tutorials, you will know these as their placeholders, but this is on debug key E, my interaction script. I get my own location plus a meter in front of it for the end. I trace for roll dynamic and pawn, and I call an interaction script for the for the hit actor. And one of these interactables is the lever base, which looks like this. And it has an interaction script which usually pertains to the elevator, but in this case we can ignore all of these because this is a default of false, and thereby it will call on lever pulled no matter what. And this is what we will use to open the door if a lever is needed. So without further ado, let's make a new blueprint class of type actor. Call this BP underscore DoorBase. Open this up. This will contain two components. First is a sphere collision, which I will make a radius of 150 and location will be 90 on the Z. This way it is kind of on top of things. If I place it here, you can see that it is filling this doorway. And also if it is in the center, then the player has enough room on both ends to interact with this actor. The second component is an arrow, and I will point this arrow to the positive Y. Whoops, that's too far. There we go. I will also make this 90 degrees up. Oh, I notice it is part of the sphere, which is not supposed to happen. I will attach this to the default root. The rotation is 90 degrees, and the color I will make it green. And I'm going to push it forward a bit. Let's say 25. And this is a purely cosmetic arrow, but it is there to know which side of the door needs to be opened, or needs to be interacted with in order for the door to open. So on here I will erase the begin play, begin overlap, and event tick. Speaking of which, I am going to disable start with tick enabled for extra performance boosts. So before we begin, I would like you to know that this is primarily used as an inheritance-based system, meaning this door base will not contain anything cosmetic. So it will not contain meshes for the doors, animations for the doors, or any kind of movement for those doors, as that is something you would have to overwrite in something like BP underscore DoorSingle or DoorDouble. But this actor BP door base is where most of the magic really happens. And speaking of magic, if you would like to add animations for your character opening the door, or anything else really, you can check out QuickMagic. QuickMagic is a website where you can upload a video and it gets turned into a usable animation for pretty much any humanoid skeleton. I have a full dedicated video on this tool if you'd like to learn more. And if you sign up with my link in the description, you will earn an extra 20 V-coins on sign up, so you'll have about 70 seconds worth of animation time to try it out for yourself. Plus, you'll be supporting the channel, which means I might one day finally have enough time to upload weekly tutorials. And thank you to QuickMagic for sponsoring the channel. So in order to know which kind of door we have, we need an enumeration. So I will add a new enumeration in my content browser, call this e underscore door type. Open it up and add 4 enumerators. First is none, in case the door can be opened regardless of anything else. The second is key, if it needs a key in the player's inventory. The third is one way. And the fourth is lever. Speaking of keys and an inventory, if you already have an inventory system set up, you should use that. I'm going to make a dummy inventory. I will make an actor component, call this AC underscore keys. And in here, I am going to make a name of keys, a variable called keys of type name, and this will be an array. Make sure to expose this as well, compile and save, and then let's add this to our player character. So AC keys, add this, compile and save. And now we have all of the external actors that we need to start working on our door base. So the first variable that we will need is the door type. And this is that enum door type that we made earlier. Be sure to expose this. Next up we need for the keys, so the key is a name. Expose this as well. We need opens from arrow side opens, and this is a boolean. Expose this as well, and this is basically if this is true, then if the player is on the arrow side, then they can open it. If this is false, then they need to be on the other side to be able to open the door. And finally we have lever ref, which would be a reference to lever base. Be sure to expose this as well, because the lever reference has on lever pulled. The last thing we need is to go to class settings and look up the BPI interaction that I have, so I can actually run the interaction script. So here from event interact, I am first going to check a certain state of the door itself, which is whether or not the door is open. So if I make a new boolean, call this door open, I do not need to expose this. We get door open if it is true. I'm going to print string door already open. If it is false, I need to know which door type it is, because now we are trying to interact with a closed door. So we say switch on door type. And if it is none, then we can just open the door regardless of anything else, which means we need a new custom event. Call this open door. And for now, I will just print a string. And I will print door opened successfully. And this, of course, is the custom event that you would need to overwrite in case you want to use different logic for opening doors, like moving the actual door mesh. So from none, we say open door. Now for the key, we need to actually check something the player whether or not the player has a key in their inventory. So let's go to make a new function, call this query player key. So we get player character, we check to see their get component by class, we check to see their current keys, so we open AC keys, get keys, and see if this contains a certain item, that being the key we have set. And this becomes our output. So if I just output a boolean called has key, make sure this function is pure so we don't need the exec nodes to be connected. Compile this, and in the event graph I will call query player key. If they do have the key, then we say open door. If not, we need to display a message about a closed door and why it is closed. So for that, I will need another custom event. Call this message closed. Once again, I'm just going to print a string. Now you could display a widget, of course, if you like, but what should the message be? Well, we should select string. No, not select string, because this only has a boolean. We need a regular select node, which has a wildcard, which means we can hook up the door type and have different options available for each door type. So for none, we don't need to enter anything because we never it is never locked or closed. For the key, I'm going to say requires key. For the one-way, I'm going to say the iconic cannot open, or is it does not open from this side. And the lever is locked by some contraption. Now you could of course display a widget, in which case you will need your string, you will need a text type variable instead of a string, but for now printing strings is fine for me. And so on the false, if our player does not have the key, we will say message closed. Now for the one way, we also need to check something, so let's make a branch and make a new function, call this query player side. And this one I will also return correct side, and make sure this is a pure function. And in this case we do in fact have a quote-unquote magic node that does most of the work for us, and that node is the inverse transform location. I will do the documentation, do most of the talking here. Transforms a position by the inverse of the supplied transform. Now this will work if the even if the transforms are local or world mixed up, which is ideal because then we can rotate or move about our door and player and not need anything else calculated. So I will get actor transform and get actor location. The transform will be targeted on self. The target of the actor location will be get player character. Hook this up to the inverse transform location. Now we need to break vector and get the y and check if it is less equal to 0. If it is less than or equal to 0, then the player is behind the arrow. If it is false, then it is on the same side as the arrow. We need to select this based on arrow side opens. And this requires some logic thinking. So let's work this one out. If the arrow side opens is false, we need to be on the other side of the door to be able to open it, which in this case was if this was true. Which means if arrow side opens is false, this returns true. If it opens on the arrow side and this returns true, we need to have a not boolean to invert it and then return this value. So let's compile this and add this to our opening of the door. So if we are on the correct side, we can say open door. If we are not, we say message closed. And finally, for the lever, we are not opening the door when interacting with the door if it is of a lever type. So instead, we just say message closed. And it will tell us that we will require to pull a lever or a button because it is locked by some contraption. So in order to set this one up, we need to go here and add events begin play. I will add a short delay of 1 second. I do this because we need to get the lever reference. But if the lever initializes after the door, then that means the door will try to get a reference to a lever that does not yet exist. And so it will return a null reference. But if I add a delay of 1 second, or you could add a delay of a number of frames if you like, then I can just get this lever without having to worry about it being invalid, because it probably has validated in the time of 1 second. I am still going to get a validated reference, just to be safe, and lever ref I will say bind to lever pulled. In here I'm going to say create event. I'm going to make a new... Oh no, I don't need to create an event, I can just say open door. So basically when the lever is pulled, we open the door and that's it. Okay, so side note, while I was editing the video, I noticed that this is kind of stupid, because here we are getting the lever reference, then binding an event, and it's, while it works, it's a tad backwards. What you can just do is find your lever reference either in the variables tab or just right here, and on the details panel you have the events, which includes on lever pulled. If I press this plus icon, I get a custom event. This is the same thing we did for the elevators, I believe. So here you can just call on lever pulled and open the door. No need to bind extra events, as the binding is already ready for you right here. And this is basically all you really need in order to have your doorways working. Now then, I'm going to show you that this all works. So the door type is currently none. If I hit play, and the door opens successfully. If I change this to key, the key would be key_01. Terrible magic number name, but whatever. I don't yet have the key in my inventory. I try to open it and it says requires key. So if I now go to my third person character, I add key_01. The key is now in my inventory. So if I now interact, the door opens successfully. If the type is one way, then I need to check if the arrow side is the side that opens the door. So I am currently on the arrow side and it said false, I believe. So now it says does not open from this side. If I go to this side, door opens successfully. If I now try again, does not open from this side. Oh, that's not good. Oh, right, of course. When we open the door, we need to set door open to true. So now it will properly only be able to interact once, I think. So I does not open from this side. Door opens successfully. And now door is already open. All right. So if I switch this one around, arrow side opens to true, and I try to open it from the other side, it's going to say does not open from this side. I go to this side, door opens successfully and already open. So checking for the arrow side definitely works. So finally, let's try the lever. I currently don't have a lever in my level, so I'm going to add a lever base right here. Going to make it quite big so I don't miss. And I will add BP_lever base as my lever reference. So now if I play, it's going to tell me locked by some contraption. I open said contraption, door opens successfully, and door is already open. So all of the logic works. Now it's just time to make it actually look nice. So we do this by making a child blueprint. So you can go to your blueprints, say right click and say create child. So I'm going to call this BP_DoorSingle. And I will add a mesh, a static mesh. And I just so happen to have imported a bunch of different doors. So here is one kind of door. I'll place this center. -90 is too much, -85. There we are. And it is set to movable. And I can also check if it is turnable. And indeed it is. So I am once again getting rid of actor beacon overlap and event tick. I'm going to check if, yep, start with tick enabled is still false. And let's see, I can override an event by going event open door. And I'm going to add a call to the parent function. I don't necessarily need to because, oh wait, I do. I was going to say I don't need to because it only prints a string, but once again I forgot that it also sets the open door variable to true. So we have the parent open door, and then we say, if you remember from my elevator tutorial, we use a handy dandy feature called component move to. So we move the static mesh components to make a relative rotation of -90. Let's check the ease in and out, and the overtime will be half a second. So let's try this one out. I'm going to delete this door. I'm going to spawn in this door. It's a tad smaller than I thought, so let me move these to cover the door. Good enough. When I hit play, I'm going to open this door, and okay, it didn't quite work. This is because I have the relative rotation set to 0, so I need to get, or location, sorry, relative location, and set it to what it already is. So now it's going to only rotate, and as you can see, it has rotated the door to be opened. And of course, this one just works with the different door types. So if I make it a lever type door and I need it to open from lever base, it is still locked by some contraption. I open it and the door just opens when I press the lever. Now I can do the same thing for a double door, create a child blueprint class, and call this DoorDouble. I will add 2 static meshes. So then these will both rotate to 0. Let's see if this works. I will delete these to remove clutter, and I will say event open door. Once again, add a call to the parent function, and use component move to. The component being static mesh. And, oh, I need a sequence this. First is component move to for static mesh, and we get a relative location. Ease in and ease out over the course of 1 second, because this one was slightly larger. Oh, of course you could parameterize this as well. So you could say time to open, expose this. You could also parameterize certain animations, though I would put those kind of variables in the DoorSingle, or not DoorSingle, in the DoorBase. So then we copy this, and we use static mesh 1. So they will both rotate to 0. I wonder if this will work. I haven't really thought this one out. Time to open is set to 1. So now let's replace you with DoorDouble, and let's give it a try. Well, they opened the wrong way. That's alright, you get the idea. You're just gonna have to play around with it a little bit and see what works for you. But anyway, that'll be all from me for today. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I will do my best to help. With that said, I hope to see you again next time, and good luck!